Wow! Technology at its finest. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here on a live stream that's actually physically working. So, again, it is Monday. March 15th, 2021. Again, glad to have you guys here. Finally, there I am up in the top right-hand corner of the screen. And first of all, my apologies. We typically do this at noon every Monday, but for some reason, I couldn't figure out how to get the editor that I use, the software that I use that allows me to be up there in the top corner of the screen and allows me to broadcast from there. So my bad, guys. I apologize. It's going to be a small, intimate setting for just a few of us here. So I'm glad those of you who were hanging on or came back, you did. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You know, you ever heard that saying, "When it rains, it pours"? So not only was my YouTube software not working, but now we're going through an update on my software, tomsoptiontools.com. So we are going to do a little bit of an end around today, and what I mean by that is I want to talk about the markets. I'm going to actually use I'm going to look at more short-term stuff. All right. I want to look at, we're going to use Thinkorswim. We're going to use an indicator that I've programmed in Thinkorswim. We are going to look at something I call the money clock. So we're going to look at patterns in ETFs. And I've actually got a couple of them that we can look at today that start at 2 o'clock. So I'll go through and explain that whole process to everyone that's in this live stream. And maybe before the hour is up, perhaps my updating will finish up on the software, and we can get into everything else I want to cover with you too. All right, so before we get any farther, let me go ahead and do what I always do here, and that is talk about the housekeeping. Real quickly, the disclaimer that you see on the screen, folks. All right, just real quick, I want to mention it real quick. You can read it in its entirety. All right. All you need to do is just pause the video. Couple things I'm going to mention before we get started. Number one, stock and options trading has large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. And number two, all right, I am not an investment advisor. I am simply here to show you how it is that I navigate the market, spot opportunities, and create alternative risk trades in the market other than simply buying and holding. We're going to get into Bitcoin as well today too. Now, like I said, for those of you that are popping on right now, I had plans of what I wanted to do with you today. But being derailed at noon, that bit into my plans. Now that we're here at 1 o'clock, again, it's going to also be a bit of a derailment because my software, tomsoptiontools.com, is going through an update right now. So that might be done before we finish up today, but we will see. We'll check and see what's going on there. Let's go ahead and get to what I want to cover with you today. So let's go. We're going to go into stocks, bonds, currencies, commodities, crypto. I want to talk about Fang. We're going to revisit crypto and look at 60,000 and what's next, and what we see happening with cryptocurrency. And then I wanted to talk about hidden gems in the market. Now, hidden gems in the market will happen if my software comes back up before the hour's up. If it does not, I've got an alternative for you, and that is we're going to look at what's going on intraday with ETFs, looking for short-term patterns in the ETF market intraday. So I might end up just doing that with you. But either way, I'm going to follow the letter of the law here when it comes to Tom's Trading Room, and that is spotting opportunities, spotting rules-based opportunities, creating alternative trades other than simply buying and holding stocks, and of course planning, executing, and managing those trades. So that's what I'm looking at doing, guys. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So market news we had coming into the day. Well, what I saw happening right before noon, stocks were plateauing. Bonds were resuming their downtrend. All right, that was something that we saw as well. Bitcoin hit 61,000 over the weekend. So that happened on Saturday. And of course, I was out. I was actually at the Seminole Hard Rock here in Tampa earlier in the weekend, and I got a stack of these things. These are vouchers, all right? Now, there's not much on these vouchers, but later on this evening, it's either today or tomorrow, I'm going to have a video out, and I'm going to talk about something that I call picking up loose change. And it has something to do with my trip to Seminole. And so we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. So I'll have that on a video. Now, the other thing that came up was that Biden is looking to raise taxes very soon. So get ready. I would say at a very minimum, we're going to see a reversal of the Trump tax cuts, which were supposed to end in 2025 anyway. So, it's not like those were permanent to begin with. So we'll see. That's I think, a bare minimum. And, of course, the housing boom continues. And what's happening now is there could be an extension to this housing boom. There could be an extension to people moving out of the cities, even though the cities are actually starting to look attractive as far as price, between the COVID variants and, more importantly, the run on commodities, on home building commodities. That's what's causing a lot of this home boom, housing boom to continue. So that could be something to look into as well. But that's the big news that's happening in the marketplace. So let's go ahead and take a look at the markets. Let me jump to, here we go. So I'm going to jump over here, and we're going to take a look at, not going to look at GME, even though it's down a bit today. I want to take a look and start with SPY. So SPY is what we look at in the stock market. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the style. And I'm going to look at my time frame setups. And the time frame setup I'm going to look at is just today. So we'll look at today only, 5-minute bars. That way everybody can see what I see on my screen. All right? You're seeing 5-minute bars, and now you'll be able to, I'm going to widen that out. You'll be able to see what's going on. So this is the S&P. Now I want you to see what's going on here. This was 9:30, and you can see the high that's happened here in during New York time. And the high during New York time is, well, you know what? Let me add one more piece to this puzzle. I've got a little thing called pinpoint on here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Looking for the big mouse. High today during New York time, 394.68 for SPY. Now, you see these two lines here. So I had my programmers go ahead and throw in these lines. These are what we call first hour resistance and first hour support. So opening hour ranges are what we're looking at here. Now, under these opening hour ranges, I'm going to see colors change if the market moves outside of the day's high or the day's low. If we go outside of the day's high, chart's going to turn green. We go outside of the day's low, chart's going to turn red. All right. So, by the way, for those of you that are in the room right now, the few of you, the ones that hung on and came back, and man, I love you guys. I appreciate you. How many of you in here use Thinkorswim? Give me a quick yes, I use TOS. Okay? Now, as you're answering that question, I'm going to answer it for you. I use TOS, I use Thinkorswim, but as a charting software, all right? I don't use it as a trading software. I use it as charting software. And I use, and this is just my preference, I use Street Smart Central as one of my web-based platforms. All right, I've got a few platforms that I use for trading, but I use Street Smart Central. That's one of the ones I use. And I'll show you how I use that here as we go into what I'm going to cover with you guys later. But for those of you that use TOS, you know what I'm going to do for you? Because you came back, and because all of you in the room, came back and are, you're here again. I'm going to give those of you that use TOS, I'm going to give you this simple line of code so you can enter it and add it into your piece. So if you're watching the video, sorry, this is for the live folks only, all right? Come back on my live streams when I get it right, and I'll get it right from now on. Come back on my live stream, and I might give something away again sometime down the road. But for right now, for those of you who are live, I'm going to give you this right now. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to take this now. To do this, I'm going to go into studies. I got to maneuver around and do some stuff. So I'm going to click on Edit Studies. This is my ThinkScript study that I have that I'm going to give everybody in here. And so to do that, I'm going to do a little click here in the gear. And well, now I'm gonna let me try that one more time. There's a area in here where I can go in and I can actually share this study with you guys. So I'm going to share this study with you, and I got it over in one of these areas somewhere. I've got a study share. You know, I'm having a brain fade today, and I'll tell you why. You know why I'm having a brain fade today? Because I screwed up at 12 o'clock. It was my fault. It wasn't YouTube's fault. It was mine. So I take full responsibility for that mess up that I did. All right, let's see if I can get this right. There it is. Share. All right, just had to hit the right click. All right, so this is what's coming up on my screen is a little area. It says ThinkScript Study. I'm going to click on Share. That's going to bring up a new window for me in my browser. There's my window. I'm actually going to take this link and I'm going to share it with all of you right now on my chat box. All right. There you go. So take that link and click on it. And if you click on that link, by the way, those of you that are getting this on a recording, I think you could probably click on the link too on the chat. If you don't see the chat, you're not going to get it. But all of you here live are getting this. So if you click on that link, it's going to bring up exactly what you see on my screen. And then you're going to have one of two options. You're going to have either view in Thinkorswim or install Thinkorswim. Now, again, I don't care who you use as a broker. I really don't. Right? It makes no difference to me. But if you do use Thinkorswim, then you would click on View in Thinkorswim, and then what will happen is when you bring this up, it's gonna pop up another little box, and it's gonna ask you if you want to open this in Thinkorswim, and you would click Open Thinkorswim, and now what's going to happen is it's going to create something called an open shared item, and down here it says Import Item as, and it says ThinkScript Study 2021-03-15. That's today's date. If you click on import, it's going to put it into your study set. Right? So now, let me take you back to where you might be. You might be on a chart. In fact, your chart might look like, I'm actually going to remove everything so that you can see what I see. So I'm just going to go into Studies, remove all studies, and now we're just looking simply at a 5-minute chart of the S&P. Okay? Now, here, this is what I want you to do. I want you to, if you're using Thinkorswim, I want you to go to Studies. And I want you to go to Edit Studies. And you're not going to have anything in your studies. But over here under the study set, you're going to see 3 areas. Now, I can't zoom into this, guys. So you're going to have to follow along. In the Edit Studies and Strategies portion, you'll see Studies, Strategies, Sets. Make sure the Studies tab is on, and I want you to type in the word Think. And if you type the word Think in, you're going to see what you just imported that I just passed on to you. And you're going to see ThinkScript Study 2021-03-15. All right, what I want you to do is I want you to double-click on that. Or you can click on Add Selected. Click on it and click on Add Selected. It's going to move over and it's going to be put into the area that says Price under Added Studies and Strategies. You're going to see Price and you're going to see ThinkScript Study 2021-03-15. Then there's going to be some brackets. And inside the brackets, it's going to say Yes, 30, 930, 1600. What that means is today's date, yes. Okay? 30 is going to be the range that we're going to look at before this particular study. Will go green if we go above the range or red if we go below the range. And the range can only happen between 930 and 1600. So, I want you to make a change here. okay? If you go in and you double click, now that you've got this in under price, if you double click on it, it's going to open up some customizing features. And in the customizing features, the only thing I want you to change is where it says opening range minutes. See where it says 30? I want that to say 60. So just pull that out and put a 60 in there, and then click OK. And then your new price should say Think Script Study 2021-03-15, and in the brackets it should say yes, 60, 930, 1600. And if it says that, then I want you to come down and click on OK. When you click OK, you're going to see those resistance and support lines for the first hour of the day pop up on your screen. Now, let me show you what this looks like when it penetrates above or below. So we're looking at the markets right now, and we see that the SPY took a little dive down here around 11:30, and then it came right back up into its opening hour window. That's what this is. This is the opening hour window. Now let's take a look at TLT, because TLT did drop down on the day, but since then it's risen and it's come up. Right, we've gone from 136.41 as a low to 137.07 as a high to now we're inside TLT's opening range. Let's take a look at USO. Now USO is having a green day today. USO is higher. In fact, it busted above its opening hour window, in which it was much more negative than it is today. Right now, it went above that at noon, and it's gone from $43.93 to $44.27. Right, so that's interesting because it's telling us that even though the oil market was down this morning, it is coming back. Now let's take a look at GLD. Gold is up on the day, and GLD is up on the day. However, GLD was up more on the day early this morning. It went from 162.55 down to 161.43, currently at 162.11, up around 60 cents, but back inside of its window for the day. So that's stocks, bonds, commodities. Let's look at the US dollar. And so I'm going to look at UUP. That's the double dollar index. This thing doesn't move around a whole lot. And I don't trade UUP. But what I do is I look at UUP to give me an idea of where things possibly could be going. All right? So as you can see, the US dollar is having a little bit more strength today, but not by much. Now, let's take a look at Fang Stocks while we're in this and see how the Fang Stocks are looking. So I'm going to start with Facebook. Facebook is up on the day by nearly 1.4%. Opened at 268.50, and it actually opened just above that. But its low clocked in at 268.50, the high 274.20, and it's been sitting inside the range for the remainder of the day. How about Apple? Apple is up on the day. It opened and was very near its low at 120.42. Spiked up to 123.64 and has been moving sideways since then in its opening window of the day. Amazon. Amazon is still down on the day. It actually opened very close to break even, but trended down. Low is 30.32. It's hit that bearish window once. It looks like it wants to hit it again. I'm telling you, this is support right here. This is support not only for the opening hour, but also support came in at 11:30. If we bust through this support level, you know what I like to do? I look at the opening hour high and the opening hour low. And as you see, 30.77, 30.32, 42.52, 62.72. So about 40 plus points between the low and the high. This is a good area. If we bust below this, you could take 40 points off of 30.37, and that puts us somewhere down around 3,000, which would be the next area of short-term support for Amazon. It's a way of looking at how to trade this opening hour window. So, Facebook, Apple, Amazon. Let's look at Netflix. NFLX. Netflix is also down on the day. It's down 1.68%. Its high was 516. It was close to break even. It dropped down to 508, and it too had an area of support not only just after the opening hour, but again just after 11:30 and coming back down close to that support level as we see it. So right now, out of the Fang stocks, Amazon and Netflix are the two that we've seen so far that look like they are the most bearish on the day. All right, let's take a look at Google. Google is clocking in at number 3. Opening 2048. Low was 27.79, and it double bounced off of support, and it's coming close to support once again. So there are 3 stocks in the Fang group that look like they're weaker than the overall group. Let's take a look at, I'm going to throw Tesla in there because Tesla's quickly becoming that stock everybody wants to know about every day. TSLA, Tesla. And here's Tesla. It's a little bit more to the high side. As you can see, it had a low at 684.04, went to 713.18, pulled back, but it's right now staying within that opening hour range. Okay? So again, the opening hour range I gave you, if you take a look at the chat box, you'll see I put a link in there which starts out with HTTPS and then it says TOS. That is a link that I wanted to share with those of you that are live with me today. Call it an apology for not being here at noon. Call it an apology for me not figuring out how to use YouTube's live streaming key. All right? I felt my age today trying to figure this out at noon. So, Gary, I like using the opening hour range on a 5-minute chart. I feel it works best more for visual than anything else, but you could use it on any chart that uses minutes or hours. Once you jump to days, it will not work. All right? It'll work up to a 60-minute chart. So you can go 1 minute up to 60 minutes if you want to. And it works on anything you could put on here. In fact, if I wanted to look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin futures are a /BTC. And you can see here, /BTC. Here was, this was Sunday, 61,255. And we bounced around. And then, of course, this is Monday night. And we were at 61,000 last night at midnight. And we dropped all the way down to 54. By 5:30 in the morning, Bitcoin futures went from 61,000 down to 54.9, 55,000. That was a 6,000 point drop in about 6 hours. Since then, we've kind of rebalanced and come up. But during the New York hours, and that's what you're seeing here, you're seeing it in the red. All right, we got up to 56.9 here just about an hour ago. We've dropped back down to 56.070. We'll see where Bitcoin goes. I mean, Bitcoin was, all over the place. We have noticed that Bitcoin tends to make. It tends to. The last couple of weekends have been great buying. I mean, opportunities where the market's gone up. We're seeing big moves up on Bitcoin and other cryptos during the weekends, and the only Y factor that I can come up with is that you got the Reddit community that's all amped up during the week on stocks like GME, AMC, and the likes of those type of stocks. Well, those markets close on Friday afternoon. What are they going to do between Friday afternoon and Monday morning? Well, they're looking at cryptocurrency, and one of the current coins they're looking at is Doji, which is not my favorite coin. But a lot of them are piling into cryptocurrency, and I think that's what's causing a lot of the spikes you see that happen over the weekend. And then, of course, you got the bigger traders that are coming in, trying to push that down, looking for those weak points, looking for people that are looking for pain, for what's going to cause the most pain to a smaller dollar trader that says, I can't stand it anymore, I'm getting out. And that's what we're seeing. There's just so much volatility in cryptocurrency because you got most folks, over 90% are buy and hold that have more than $10 million in Bitcoin, right? Now, I'd like to say that I was one of those guys, but I'm not, All right, I'm below the $10 million threshold, but I'm above the $1 million threshold, at least on the coins that I have in my Coinbase account. But yeah, I mean, it's, I look at it, it's, and I've said this before, Bitcoin to me is a long-term investment. It's a long-term buy and hold. My buy-in is many, many times below where the price is right now. So I don't look at it the same way I look at my stock account or my options account. All right, it's more of a long-term trading situation. That's what I look at Bitcoin for. So when I see these moves like this, it doesn't really faze me that much. So so there you go. That's Bitcoin in a nutshell. Let me look and see what's happening in the world of Tom's option tools. All right. Because that's where I want to go next. So let's see if I've got Tom's option tools back up, if the update is done, or if it's still hanging out there. Looks like it's still hanging out there, so we're not going to be going in that area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off our live trade session talking about intraday moves. All right, when I talk about intraday moves, I have this tool that I have kind of a backdoor area to get into this tool. So even though our option tools are in the process of getting a little bit of an update, and so any of you that use Tom's option tools, come back later. We'll be back online. But if you take a look at short term, all right, what I look at is I have something called money patterns, and my money patterns they come from everything from a calendar where I'll look at days and weeks into the future based on 10 to 20 years of data. We've taken that technology and we've moved that down into intraday patterns. So we can actually look at intraday patterns down to 5-minute bars. And we look at 5-minute bars going multiple days back, looking for times during the day where we see patterns of buying or patterns of selling happening. And so what I've done is I've spreadsheeted this out for you right now. So we had a pattern. Let's take a look and see how these patterns have worked, because, again, there's no guarantee on any of this. There's no guarantee on anything in the stock market, all right? But I'm a pattern trader. So if I see something happening over and over and over again, then I'm going to run in that direction. So I'm going to take the rest of our live stream together today, and I want to share with you what I see happening starting at 2 o'clock this afternoon. From about 2 to 3, I see 3 different patterns. They're 1-hour patterns that are happening. So let's take a look at them. First, okay, so let's start with this morning, what happened with USO. So USO, I had a long signal on USO from 9:30 to 11:05, all right? It was a 95-minute pattern. And now this average here, this average that you see here, okay, this is not the win-loss ratio, okay? It's not. It's not a win-loss ratio. My win-loss ratio is over here. Accuracy, 71%. So 71% of the time when we looked at this pattern was giving us about a 0.5% move during the 95-minute time. It started at 9:30, ended at 11:05. Let's see what USO did between that time frame. USO. All right, so here's your 9:30, and here's your 11:05. So, okay. So it started at 9:30. We were at this area here, so we'll call it 43.90. At the 11:05 mark, we were at 43.77. So that was a whopping loss of 13 cents. So I like patterns where when you lose a little, but when you make, you do quite well. And this is an example of one where it didn't get up and start going until around noon. Then things started picking up steam. But the USO trade didn't work out today. All right. How about XLF? There was a long between 10:15 and 12:30. So let's take a look at XLF. And again, if I look at XLF, what do I see here? Long, that means the pattern's typically gone up over the last week between 10:15 and 12:30. It's averaged just over 0.5% move, All right. The total that it's made over the pattern is 3.79. The drawdown was 132. The run-up was, and this is what we like to look at, the run-up to drawdown. So if the run-up is higher than the drawdown, I like that. And it was the case for USO. That's what made it an acceptable trade. But XLF actually had an 85% historical success. So let's see what happened with XLF at 10.15. And guys, I'm looking at this for the very first time. I'm not XLF. I didn't throw this in here and kind of set it all up ahead of time to show you how great I am. That's not the case. We look at patterns together. And so the pattern we saw here was at 10.15. There's your 10.15 bar. All right. So 10.15 to 12.30. Well, you take a look at 10.15. There's your pattern. 34.38. Look at 12.30. 34.39. So it didn't make money this time, but it didn't lose either. If you followed the start time to the end time. All right. So that was, again, XLF, 10.15 to 12.30. Let's look at EWZ, 10.25 to 12.35. This 130-minute pattern averaged just over 1% over the course of the last several days. It had a 2.181% best day. Its worst day was down 1.4%. So it had a max profit to max loss of about 2 to 1 when you look at the back test. And for the last 7 days, it's been accurate 100% of the time. Now, let me tell you something about drawdown for a moment. Drawdown doesn't mean that's what you lost for the day. Drawdown means that's the worst it got during the pattern. So it came back. Again, EWZ is the symbol. Let's see what EWZ did today. EWZ. Okay. Now, let's go back and look at this because this looks great right here, but I don't think that was the pattern, guys. All right, the pattern, again, was 10.25 to 12.35. So a little over 2 hours. 10.25, we were here on the pattern. We were at 32.89. 12.35, we were here. 33.11. Okay, so this one worked out. This one shows that at 10.25, 32.89 to 33.11. Not that much, but looks like a winner. Okay? So there you go. That is, again, that is, if you take a look at EWZ, and let's go back once again. Let's look at GDX, and then we'll look at the three that are popping up today. So GDX shows a long from between 12:45 and 14:55. So this one's not over yet. This one actually just kind of got started about 45 minutes ago. So GDX, let's take a look at GDX and see what it's done since 12:45. And here's 12:45, and this is what GDX has done since then. Not a lot of anything. 12:45 is up here at 33.56, so it's down 6 cents from where it is right now. Let's say I want to get into this one. I'm looking at GDX. How do I trade a pattern that's going to end in, 2 hours? I'll show you. So GDX is going to, actually GDX ends at 3 o'clock, so a little more than 2 hours. So this is how I would do this. So I would go into I'm going to go into my Street Smart Central. GDX, and that's the Van Vectors Gold, and I'm going to look at call options because here's the thing. I'm only in this trade for a couple hours in the case of what I see here for this ETF, and if I'm only going to be in it a couple hours, I don't need a spread, I don't need a butterfly, I don't need an iron condor, I don't need something that's some combobulated multi-level legged trade. I just need to look at calls if I'm bullish or puts if I'm bearish. So if I'm looking at calls, what I'm going to look at is what options do I have that expire as close to the market as possible. And that is the ones that expire on the 19th. Now I see the 33.5 calls are trading at 57 cents by 60 cents. I'm just going to bring myself down to the 33s for a moment. All right, I'm looking at the 33s because I want to see something. I just want to see what's going on here with this option in respect to the actual price of GDX right now. So let's look at GDX. GDX is at 33.5. Oh, this is going to be easy. So I've had a 33 call, and it's trading 85 by 89. And I'm at $33, and it's at 33.5. Then I know that 50 cents of whatever I get into this trade at right now is real value, and the rest is time. Now, here's the thing. I know I'm not going to lose a lot of time value between now and 3 o'clock. I know that. All right? So if I were to look at this as an example, and that's what this is an example, I could go in at the market and do a market order right away, and then, bam, I'm in this trade. Okay? I'm going to preview that. I place that order, and there I go. Now, I'm not going to front run in my room, so that's just something I don't do. Front running is where I do something and then I tell you what I did, then you all pile in and do it, and then you make my stock go higher. That's illegal. All right, I will not do that. I've seen other folks do that, and I've seen what happens to other folks that do that. And so it's just, to me, it's unethical. So that's why I'm showing you this as a case study, right? But that 33 call right now looks like around the 88 cent level. Looks like an area where it would fill at. All right, so let's say I put that trade on. All right, now what could I do with this? Well, because it's something that's going to end in less than 2 hours, maybe I might want to take a profit on that. Maybe if I just get 25% of this trade, then I get out, take my money, and run. All right. What's 25% of, let's call it 90 cents? All right. Well, we know 25% of $1 is 25. So 25% of 90 is going to be somewhere around the 22 cent level. Right. 22 and a half, actually. But let's call it 22. So you calculate, as I would, how much do I want to risk on the trade? What's my profit going to look like? And either I get 22 cents. You got to remember, you're either out at a profit or you're out at 3 o'clock if you follow my rules. And this pattern ends at 3 o'clock, and then we go into no man's land. We don't know where it's going to go based on the fact that I can't go back and look at this in history. So I look at that profit or get out at the specified time. Now let's take a look at a couple of trades that are popping up in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to clear this out and have it ready to go again. We'll do this 2 more times. So popping back over to my money clock. I've also noticed I don't trade VXX to the short side. I just don't. It's just not something that I'm, you could. We'll take a look at it. So VXX shows between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. I've got 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and 2 o'clock and 3:55. All right, so let's just look at VXX. We'll look at them all. VXX. Now this is a short trade. That means at 2 o'clock, if I like this trade, and it averages 1.24%, it's had a drawdown of 1% and a run up of 5%. Now, the run-up of 5%, and remember, we're talking about the VIX going down, all right? That means if you short it and it went down, your best day was 5.5%. Your worst drawdown during the last several days was a little over 1%. But every day it seemed to work. Let's take a look at VXX. So VXX on the graph is going to look like this. Wow, it's already dropping. Wish I'd have gotten to that one earlier. But look at that. That's definitely going down. So we do see the VIX dropping. The VIX is already down 3.5%. It could continue to fall. And that's what we are looking at over the next hour, starting at 2 o'clock. So let's take a look and see what the options look like in VXX. So if I pop back over to StreetSmart and I type in VXX, put options. All right, so the put options in VXX, the 13 puts are out of the money because, again, if you look here, we're at $13.45. So I want something that actually has some real value to it. So if I looked at the 14 put, that's 85 by 87. And again, this one has about 55 cents of real value in it. So your time value is actually lower than your intrinsic value. If you want more intrinsic value, take a look at the 15 put. The 15 put's $1.70 by $1.72. So if the VIX is trading at 13.45, let's call it, then this has $1.55 of real value. That means that somewhere between 15 and 17 cents is time value. So you're really trading this like you're shorting the VIX because you have such little time value in here. Has very little time value risk, but it has a lot more what? Real intrinsic risk. Okay? So there you go. And this would be a buy to open when you're initiating this trade. And then if you're looking at, say, the $1.70 by $1.72, then you say to yourself, all right, well, what's 25% of that? Well, take 17 cents, multiply that times 2, that's 34. Add another 8 cents on, it's about 42. 42 cents seems to be about the 25% area of profit if you looked at that as a get out. Okay? So there you go. That's VXX, and that's a put option trade. And it's also now, do you see how this ties in really well? When you see this happening, when you see today's chart moving in the lower end of the range, and you're coming into a pattern like this, where it shows continuous move, and at least in the last several days, we've seen a continuous move going down. That's what I like to see. I'm showing you this on ETFs. We do this on stocks as well. But I'm showing you all of you this on ETFs, which have the least amount of risk, but I'm going to tell you also they have the least amount of reward too. Take a look at XBI. 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, XBI. And this one is averaged 0.65%. It's had a drawdown. Worst day of the week was 1.3%. Best run up was 3.22. It's been 85% accurate looking at the several days back we look at during this pattern. And so for this one, this 60-day pattern is a 2 to 3. Let's take a look and see what XBI is doing today. There you go. Another pattern I like. You know why? It had a high earlier today at 148.52. It dropped down into the low end of the window, right? Did not go outside the window, but look what it's looking to do now. It's looking to go outside the window again. It's only about less than 25 cents away from the window, which means if we get up into the window, there's some shorts that could be buying this back that could scale it up even more. So I like that. I like that part of this pattern. So again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at XBI. And I see between 2 and 3 o'clock. So let's go back to Street Smart and let me clear this out again. I want to show you a different way to enter this order. If you have Street Smart Edge or you have like a Thinkorswim or TradeStation, it allow you to do what's called contingent orders. So going back in again, XBI, got your biotech, and it's bullish. Why is it bullish? Because it's green. And when I have green on here, I've done the math. I've done the homework, guys. It's green between 2 and 3. Now, what I look at here is I'm looking at, this is a 60-minute chart, and I'm looking at, again, what has it done in the past? How accurate has it been in the past? And then finally, we'll go back and we'll say, all right, so at 2 o'clock, I want to get into this. Well, let's say I want to get into it and I want to do a market order, but I don't want to sit here until 2 and then hit that button. Maybe I want to go ahead and put this in ahead of time. So there are some brokerage firms that allow you to do what's called contingent orders. And a contingent order is an order like an advanced order. So I'm looking for contingent on time. As you can see here, contingent on volume, contingent on time, contingent on price. I'm going to click on contingent on time. And what that does is that allows me to enter in an order. So let's say I'm going to buy the 148 calls, which are 259 by 305 right now. All right? Where is XBI, by the way? 148.21. This is an at the money option. Maybe I want to go in and do something a little bit more in the money. All right, there's a 147, 320 by 365. But if I do this as a market order, I can put this in and say, I want to be filled at precisely 2 p.m. Set that trigger. Now, my market order is a market order, but it's contingent upon it being today's date and 2 o'clock. If I enter that order, it will not be filled until precisely 2 o'clock. Then it will fill as a market order at whatever the market price is at 2. If I do that, by the way, kind of helps if you put your buy to open in. Now, if I get filled on this order, you know what else I could do? I could put the sell in. I could put the sell in at 3 o'clock. All right, so the sell to close would go in just like this. So if I'm filled, I do the sell to close, and then my contingent order would be to sell to close the position at 3 p.m. And I'd set that trigger. And then I would have a sell to close at 3 p.m. And then, of course, if it goes up and hits a target, then I get out earlier. But I wanted to show you a couple different ways that we could do that. And let me just check one more time to see if we're still doing an update over at the tools. Typically, these updates happen at night, but we're having some continuation of our update on our tools happening. So that's why I thought what I'd do is share with those of you that are here with me today how we can go in and look at the intraday side of the market, how I look at it as a pattern trader, and then how to potentially trade that intraday pattern of the market. Okay, so that's looking at the patterns right now on something we call our money clock. And I think I have one more I wanted to share with you. Yeah, so IWM. So let's close all these up. Let's just look at the last pattern of the day, and that is IWM pattern. And what we're looking at here is we're just looking at taking a long trade from 2 to 355 based on the pattern that it made about 0.61% on average each day in the pattern. Look at the drawdown, always 0.78%. Look at the run-up, 2.23%. Accuracy, 85%. Back to Street Smart again. This is IWM. Let's take a look at IWM on the screen. It too is near its highs of the day. That's nice looking. That makes some sense. Let's take a look at IWM as what the options are going to look like. So let me clear everything out. IWM. It's the Russell. Call options. What are call options on the Russell looking like if I want to buy to open even one of them? 332 by 341, that's the 233 calls. We're at 233.82, so this one's almost a point in the money. That's good. That's good as well. But remember, if we're getting into a trade now and we're going to be out of it before the end of today, time value isn't going to be a big factor. What's a big factor between now and the closing time? The time value isn't, but price is. All right, so this is a price value. That's your price risk. Your delta risk is on this trade, not your theta. Right? Theta risk is on a trade if you hold it all the way to expiration. And then you're really putting theta risk against you as an option buyer. All right? And Jay, you're absolutely right. Our tools are not up, and I've mentioned that on the video here a couple of times. So what I've done is I'm going into Plan B because I do have access to some of my tools before they go into my tools. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm just going through a summary of the money clock, which is something that is available on our tools. And what I will do with everybody next week is we'll go through the actual money clock on Tom's option tools, so that all of you can get an idea of how I got to the summary of what we're talking about today. But I thought what I'd do today is just share a couple trading ideas with everyone, show you what it is that we are doing in the room, and then how we can, spot opportunity, create alternative risk strategies in the market, and plan, execute, and manage those risks. So that's what I was doing with all of you in the room. And again, if I'm looking at IWM, I'm looking at IWM as a market. Remember, advanced order. So that goes in as, contingent orders, there's a bunch of different things you can do in the markets, but I'm just showing you the contingent on time order. In this case, you're buying a market order right at that time when the pattern begins. And then concurrently, unless you hit a profit target, then in this case, it's I think it's 355 is this one. So let's go back and take a look at it one more time. So yeah, 1555, that's 355. So 355, 5 minutes before the market actually closes. You're just getting in right before the closing rotation. And that would be the sell to close market order. Contingent on time today, 3:55 p.m. All right. So that's what we're talking about when I'm looking at what's happening, plateauing. Okay. So guys, to kind of finish out the day today, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of this I didn't get a chance to go through with you. So stocks are moving sideways today. Stimulus checks are on the way. In fact, I understand direct deposits are happening as we speak. BTC pulls back after all-time highs. And where do we see BTC going? Well, you know what? Let's take a look at it. And I wanted to go through and show you this in Tom's option tools, but I can't do it right now. So let's go through and let's look at BTC on a daily chart. And I want to show you the areas that I think are most significant. So I'm going to go back to the futures chart of BTC, and I want to show you where all the support is. All the support right now is down here in the mid-40s once again. All right, you see the support that when we climbed up and made new highs, and we had the support that happened back here in February. Then we climbed up into the mid-50s, and we pulled back hard to this support, and then we pulled back again, back at the beginning of March. Then we started marching up right away. And you see what happened here? Now, this day that you see, this is Friday, the 12th. This is today, the 15th. You see that 61,255? That started as of last night because futures markets open on Sunday evenings when we were at a 61,000 price multiple, and we dropped all the way down into around the 54.8 area. 54.9. We're at 56,290 right now, and this is, again, futures. So you got to look at the futures markets. Take about $500 off, and that's what Bitcoin Cash is trading at right now. But I can tell you, based on that outside bar, the volatility's been coming in on Mondays quite successfully. Then the volatility slows down, and the pattern begins. And the pattern could be down. The pattern could be ratcheting back up. Obviously, the week will tell. But it was exciting to see Bitcoin hit the $60,000 mark for me because it's hitting new price targets. Right, it's hitting my new price targets. I have a price target at 67,000 to set around 67 to 72. My next target after that, 100,000 on Bitcoin. All right, so that's what I see happening with BTC. Another one you can look at is if you go in and put in /ETH. The Ethereum futures or Ether futures are now starting to trade, and these are the dailies. You can see the high, this was back in February, 1981.50. Then we had a hard drop down to 1400. We've climbed back up and we went above 1900. That was last night. We've pulled back to 1779, but that's the resistance right now that we see on Ether looking at the futures markets. And then, of course, you see the support. And even though 1371 is down here, we see support really down here around the 1400 area. But that's support looking all the way back to February. So again, stocks are moving higher. We see that stimulus checks are coming in. BTC, Ether are pulling back. So are some of the smaller cryptos as well. And then finally, the part that I wanted to talk about with you, and I just didn't get a chance to do it with you, is something that I call looking for the change. All right, looking for the change out there. And I was looking for change. I was going to talk about looking for change in a different sense. What I mean when I say looking for change is I was looking for how to take a look at value stocks. All right, and taking those value stocks, I'm playing around with the preset while I'm talking to you guys to kind of finish this out. So how to take those value stocks and really, getting a look at them and seeing what out there makes the most sense when it comes to, in a sense of high probability, in a sense of stocks that have been, have been great to own in good times and bad. And part of that picking up the change has to do with something that I did when I went over to the casino this weekend. My brother-in-law's birthday was this weekend, so we went out to Seminole Hard Rock, and we went over to the casino, and I grabbed in the period of 5 minutes, I grabbed all these vouchers. And the funny thing is that when I grabbed these vouchers, I didn't put a single dollar into any of the video game machines. So I'm going to do a video on what came out of this and how it relates to covered call trading. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the group today. If I were to kind of finish off on here, let me just check some of the comments we have that are coming through. Jay, I appreciate you coming out there and helping me out there in the back of the room, kind of handling support for us in this live video, so I appreciate it. But for those of you, once again, who were here at 12 o'clock, I mean, we put out this piece at 12 o'clock, and I had some technical difficulties, and I apologize. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor right now and hit that like button, all right? Because when I see the like button being hit, it makes me want to do more of these, okay? I'll mention this right now, too, all right? We do monetize these videos. All right, but between the amount of money that comes in on Bitcoin, we give that away. All right. What I mean by that is that all of the money that we make on YouTube, and then some. And when I mean then some, I mean a lot more than that. We actually end up giving it to charities. And I'm thinking what I'm going to be doing as we go toward the end of this year, and we'll be doing that all through 2021. We did that in 2020. All the money that comes in on both our live channels and all of our content we do on YouTube, we do give it to charity. So keep in mind that those of you that are watching that monetized content, it's going to a good cause, right? Sometime down the road, at the end of this year, I might even have you make a vote on where to put some of this money as we go forward. All right, but just know this. It's not going into my pocket. It's going right back out to charities that are in need. So again, if you like this video and you like this kind of education, please hit that like button. It does help sponsor this channel, and it helps that YouTube algorithm goes out to more and more people out there who want to know something about Tom's Trading Room, want to know something about how we spot opportunities, how we create these alternative risk trades, and how we plan, execute, and manage those trades. So once again, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for hanging out with me here. Again, we finally got it right. I think it was the fourth time's a charm, as it took me 4 times to figure out what a streaming key was. but I got it. We'll have that ready to go next week. So I'll see you same time, same channel next week. Until then, have a great day. Take care. Bye, everyone.